Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. Thank you for just hanging on there for a couple more minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to come online who are running a little bit late, but here we are. My name is Nick Ramico. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at LiveTiles, and today I'll be joined by my good friend, colleague and persistent heckler, Chief Product Officer Simon Tyrrell, who will provide the demonstration of LiveTiles Reach, our employee comms mobile app, which we're really excited to get you guys across. But first, a little pearl of wisdom, which I want to share with you guys. And it's from a name that shall remain anonymous for the time being because we can't remember who said it. I thought it was me. Simon, I think you tried to claim it at one point. And it is debatable as to whether Peter Nguyen-Brown, co-founder of CXO, in fact said it. I mean, it probably was him. He's a pretty enigmatic guy. But quote, it's not about trying to get people to adopt the digital workplace. It's about the digital workplace adopting the people. And this essentially sums up what we are constantly aiming to do at LiveTiles, finding ways to shape technology around persona and context. And it's a question we want to pose today. How do you communicate, or how should you reach a productively fragmented people? And just this slide here, just quickly, it shows, that more than ever work gets done in teams, cross collaborative teams and across a vast landscape of applications. We all know this. Yet reaching your people with top-down comms, that also provides a way for the employee to respond and have that ongoing dialogue, regardless of location or role type is more critical than ever. In fact, Forrester states in their April report, The Future of Work Starts Now, that employee power is one of 4 shocks to the system that we need to be ready for. Like we saw with the rise of the customer in the last decade, we'll see with the rise of the employee and the need to be focused on building positive and personalized experiences around them and for them. And before we get into the demo, I just want to give you a quick example of that approach. This is Carl, our CEO, on the right, and me in a breakdance battle. We're the guys in the red tracksuits. And as you can see, there was some unnecessary scoffing on the behalf of the young guys we were battling it out with. They were very good, and we had quite a few years on them. But here's the thing. Carl and I felt people needed to see this, okay, regardless of what anyone else thought. And had we invited them to an exclusive event for our breakdance battle instead of seamlessly incorporating the act into our company kickoff in Hawaii in 2018, I'm telling you, the sound of crickets, I'm happy to admit, would have drowned out even the big boom box we had playing. So you might say we brought the dance to the people while also giving them the opportunity to either cheer or jeer. And likewise, our tech is powering the workplace experience of approximately 8.5 million employees from a range of companies and organizations across APAC, the Americas, and EMEA, not because we had them build their use cases around our tech, but because we are intentionally designing solutions around them. And that intention is embedded in our vision, philosophy, values. But do we always get it right? No. In fact, getting it wrong, as long as you're failing fast, learning, improving, is, we'd argue, part and parcel of this process. And if we get it wrong too many times, I blame the guy who's going to demo to you today. He's a Chief Product Officer, okay? So with this question in mind, how do you reach a productively fragmented people? And I pose that now to you, Simon Tyrrell. And are you there, my friend?
I am, Nick. How are you? Hello,
Very well,
everyone.
thank you. And I'm just going to make you the presenter. And just, can you please confirm that you are now the presenter?
Yeah, it looks like I am, mate. Absolutely. So thank you very much. I'll just get my screen going and we'll jump into the demo. So hopefully everyone can see my screen coming up.
Yes.
All good?
Gotcha.
Okay, so the demo will be pretty quick, guys, because the whole point of what we're doing with LiveTiles Reach is to solve problems around employee communication as quickly and as possible, with less time spent on technology and more time spent on your strategy around engagement, communications, etc., and good content. So I'm going to start here, and unfortunately on GoToMeeting I can't easily share my mobile, but I'm going to start with my mobile application. And one of the key things that is clearly coming out, and I'll just turn off my screen so you can see me, is you need very good mobile experiences. And so what you're looking at here is LiveTiles Reach, and you'll see as we go through here, the same content appearing across, oh, this is my Android device. This could be across, of course, your Apple device as well. A very lightweight, slick, native mobile experience with notification center integration, etc. And the beauty of LiveTiles Reach is this is not a discrete experience to all the other ways you can reach your employee base, which means you can provide a consistent way of accessing this information across your workforce, whether they're BYOD devices in a frontline workforce, whether it's people accessing it through applications such as Teams, whether it's embedded into your intranet experience, regardless of what that may be, and of course through native web applications as well. So one of the key things I wanted to start with is that it's very important that what you do with your strategy here reaches the users as much as you possibly can. And so let's jump back in to how do people access this. What I'm looking at here is the web application view, and as you'll see, very similar to what I just showed on my mobile experience. But I'm now going to jump across to where we're seeing a lot of our customers, users moving to, and that is Microsoft Teams. I'm sure in your organization, you have deployed software such as Microsoft Teams during the COVID situation, we'll call it. We've seen organizations deploy Teams in a week when they originally had a 3-year program of work. And they've done it because they need to break down collaboration barriers. They need to give people access to things like online meetings capability for disrupted work practices, work from home, et cetera, and what that's meaning is those users' attention is now within those applications such as Microsoft Teams. And one of the implications a lot of our customers then have is, okay, how do I reach them? I'm used to directing people to click a link and head to my intranet homepage, for example, or my corporate comms portal, whatever it may be. I'm used to them being in email all the time and reading my global distribution list communications, but they're not there anymore. How am I going to reach them? And so, as the name suggests, that's what this platform's all about. It's multi-channel, it's mobile-first experience, but it's also about embedding it into the flow, if you will, of where users are doing their work. So what we're looking at here, this is standard Microsoft Teams, and the LiveTiles Reach application has been deployed into it. I'm looking at my news feed here, and as you'll see, it's the same content that I was seeing on my mobile phone, the same content obviously on my web application. It's exactly the same experience, to be honest, behind the scenes. So anything you do, any features you take advantage of can be deployed across all of these channels. So let's just start with the content experience for an end user. So I'll just open up one of the articles here, and you'll see I've got a very simple, very slick, almost medium.com, if you're familiar with that blogging platform style of content here. Because it's built around mobile experiences, it's built around top to bottom reading, it's built around structuring your articles in a certain way that help the reading flow for a user. But that's not particularly exciting, given that that's just a little bit of content. So let's go back here and think about, well, what else can these users start to do? So you've of course got channel publishing. So whether you do your channels around topics, around locations, around departments, it's entirely up to you. So that just provides obviously a way to start filtering through. As a user, I can subscribe to certain channels. I can choose not to subscribe to other communication channels. As an administrator or content author, you can also force, or perhaps, mandate that certain channels must be followed by everyone. I've got the ability as a user to filter out my news, but I'm just going to quickly show you the ability to search. I'm actually searching for an article here that was written in German. So we've got a lot of colleagues in the European region, and you'll see here this article was written by one of my colleagues in Basel in Switzerland, written in German. I have no idea what that talks about other than something about LiveTiles. But up here, automatic translation to my chosen English language of English. And assuming this works, there we go. I can now read what Thomas posted about our Q2 figures and he originally posted that in German. Now you can support all sorts of languages in that. You can have multiple drop-down options here, and you can also have default languages for certain users as well. So if you're an organization with a global workforce, or even a local workforce where you may have, say, a frontline workforce where English is a second language, that ability to support your users with automatic translation of content. You can also it supports multilingual through writing your own content in language, which is still an important feature for when you have very nuanced or very technical type of content and you want to be very exact. But you can immediately switch on the ability for all sorts of different language speakers to engage with your content. And that applies to all of the content that appears on every article you're posting. So as a user, I'm able to access this content from Teams on one click away. We have the ability to embed into notifications here, whether that's through the app itself, through the activity stream of a user, and you'll see there every time someone does something, such as Pete here posting an article, I can click that and go straight to that article within the application. I can also do that from my activity stream within Teams as well, just like any other notification I may wish to do. So now let's flick to the other side of the equation, getting content out there. So classically, what corporate communications tools do is you may deploy it through a mobile experience, for example, but the content administration and authoring process is done behind the scenes. You need to go to that system, you need to remember how to use it, etc. One of the design principles behind Reach is that the content creation, authoring, and approval experience needs to be as simple and as slick and approachable as the content accessing experience. So you see up here, I've got a little pencil mark. I've got that because I'm a content administrator. A regular user wouldn't have it. And within the same application, remember, I'm still in Microsoft Teams. I haven't had to go to the intranet backend or anything like that. I'm able to very easily see what articles we got on the go. So anything above the red line hasn't been approved yet. Anything below the red line, it has been published, and I can start to see who did it, I can see when, etc., etc. And I can even see here, there's an article here that was published by Chris about our podcast series, and it actually has pending edits that have not yet been published. Just so happens, that's what that article up the top is. But let's put a scenario in place that I'm a corporate communicator, and I've just been in Teams, I've been on a video meeting with the executive and the CEO, really needs to get a message out to all staff about the impact of, say, the stage 4 lockdown in Melbourne to our staff. I'll finish that meeting. In fact, with the new meeting experience in Teams, where it allows you to pop out the meeting, I could be doing this while I'm still in the meeting, which is quite a powerful capability. So I'm going to come up here, and I can, within Teams, within this application, be starting to get my content drafted up. So let's add a banner image. I can obviously upload from my own computer. Let's choose a nice landscape. I can share with you today some very exciting news that we're just about ready to go on our integration with Canva. So any of you who use the Canva platform for creating graphics, banner images, that type of thing, will be having that as an option embedded into that experience. I can put in obviously my title. I'm not going to go through and show you all how to create an article, because you're all probably very familiar with writing, but I'll just talk through some of the key features here. So it's very much in line with medium.com, a hovering ability to add certain things in, whether that be images or video into the body. You can also inject HTML and JavaScript if you want to embed something or integrate some data from something, for example. We've of course got keywords, and we use those for things like our locations, our products, you'll see here, as well as topics and organizational information. So keywords just allow you to target certain things and obviously provide a better filtering and search experience. We can ask users to enter to do a poll. So we can start to think about getting some qualitative feedback to this article. So for example, in that scenario where I've been asked to put out a communication to our Melbourne team, I might choose to say, it's based on a location of Melbourne, for example. I might put in, you know, a poll question about how people feel about the latest lockdown, whatever it may be, and I can start to embed that into the content experience. If it's a really important thing, I've got two capabilities at my disposal. I've got read confirmation receipts. You'll see that adds that to the body of a green tick with a confirm button for our users, and there is reporting in the background around that. I can also mark things for alerts. And what this allows me to do is set a duration of alert, allowing me to have automatic expiry around this, and it visually changes the title, and that flows through to what's then published in those cards across the mobile experience, the web experience. If it's embedded into your intranet, it's there, and of course the Teams experience as well. So I might use that because this is really important, and that will also force a notification to every user regardless of their channel subscription, etc. Do I want thumbs up, likes, etc., and do I want to allow comments to be added, all from a click of a button? I've also got the ability to do track changes on the fly, so if this has been co-authored over a period of time, I can very quickly see that visually. And then I'll just add some text. Once I'm done, I can publish, in my case, or I can send to approval. And as soon as that's published, bang, that goes out. Users are able to access it from the application, from the mobile application. They can be notified of an email, of course, which directs them back to the application. And you'll see it's sitting there now in draft phase, ready to go. So the point of this is it's a very lightweight, quick to get up and running platform that allows you to think about your employee engagement around communications, not just through the lens of a very structured authoring process, but through accessible, modern, mobile-first articles that can really get to your users and focus on getting the message out. Importantly, for frontline workforces, so if you're in health, if you're in retail, if you're in manufacturing, and there might be a percentage of your workforce that is not currently engaging with your collaboration tools, we can support getting to those users as well. And you can both now include them in the conversation as well as your traditional knowledge office-based workers as well. And just quickly before I jump into one final little thing, I just want to also show you that it's not just about news. We support posting capability. So for those frontline workers who may not, for example, be licensed for something like Yammer, there's an ability to do that. We support structured pages. And that's around more of a wiki style. The authoring experience is exactly the same as what you would do to create the article I just showed. And to give you an example of this, we've just launched a little internal hackathon process around a product feature last night. We're doing it globally for all our staff. And I've created a structured set of content here that everyone can get through their mobile device and allows me to communicate some tips and tricks as well as embedded videos and all the same features of the analytics behind the scenes, commenting, liking, etc. The translation capabilities are all available through structured content. You can track events and whether people need to register events, etc. We don't have any here, but if I go to past events, we should see some. And finally, we have the ability to have a people directory. And another exciting announcement I can make is that we've now integrated our LiveTiles directory, so our service which helps you populate your people information and keep it up to date by connecting with the users themselves around that, is now integrated into this. So you can not only have the basic profile information that comes with the platform, but you can really put that on steroids and ramp it up with organizational charts, rich contact information, etc. So that's all available now as well. So just to be clear, it's about being modern, lightweight, fast communication across channels, doing it mobile first, but embedding it into the experiences such as Microsoft Teams, so you can get to your users and not force them to have to leave where they're doing their work just to go and find out what's going on in the organization. And while I've got you, I just wanted to touch on one final example of how we engage with our workforce beyond corporate communication. So we use LiveTiles Reach ourselves, as you can see, but I just want to quickly take 2 minutes to show you LiveTiles Vibe, which we believe is also part of the modern communication strategy organisations should be looking at. And I'll give you an example of an organisation who's doing both right now. So LiveTiles Vibe, I'm just in a team here. It's our LiveTiles Vibe global team. And these cards that you see here asking questions about how have I felt this week, how am I feeling today, I'm happy, I'm feeling a bit anxious, has been done by our global head of people and culture, Vanessa, and she scheduled these to post to this team at points of the week that she wants to connect with our user base and just ask them how you're feeling about certain things. It doesn't have to be about emotions or well-being. It could be literally asking about everything. But to give you a sneak peek behind the scenes of the types of things she's been asking during COVID, you'll see about how am I feeling today? How do you feel about returning to the office? So this was asked when we started to open our offices in certain countries. How do you feel this week? A reflection on the year that was asked at the end of the financial year. And if I just dive into this, you start to see some of the analytics that she can get one click away and the scheduling she does and post into this team. So why did I think it important to show you that? Because that's part of the employee engagement experience. It's not so much communications, but it's about checking in, about engaging, about getting that feedback loop. And of course, you could be doing this about the content that you're publishing out through LiveTiles Reach as well. So hopefully that's given you a really quick run through of how modern communications can work and how LiveTiles Reach not only delivers on the communications requirement, but we believe really takes you towards employee engagement. And quickly finishing up on some stories around this. So we've had customers in sport and the AFL who implemented this within hours when they had to start for putting staff into, extended leave and the various things where they're no longer in the office but need to connect with them. We've had government departments, in particular in the health sector, who one of them had a 3-year program of work to deploy Microsoft Teams and the broader Office 365. When everything started to happen back in February and March, they literally had to turn on Teams in less than a week, and it went viral. And now they're rolling out Reach to be able to get their corporate communications out to everyone because they want to be mobile-centric for their frontline workforce, such as in the hospitals. And one of the first areas to do this is the ambulance service. And they also want to hit those knowledge office workers who are now meeting back-to-back. I'm not sure if you've noticed how many meetings you now have online, but back-to-back meetings, being able to give those people access to this information as well without taking them away from that and distracting them from their day. So hopefully that's given you a really good insight into what we're doing, and I'll hand back to Nick.
Thanks, Simon. And no, that was fantastic, and thank you for that. And I'd love to open it up to the attendees, to our audience, to see if there's any questions that we could answer on their behalf. And so feel free to just put that in there. We've got a few minutes left of the session. But while we wait for those questions to come in, I'll ask a few questions on everyone's behalf. So, Simon, how easy is this to deploy?
Technical deployment is literally within minutes, and you can be up and running immediately. And then any sort of configuration work is really around your channel strategy, your keywords, and that type of thing. So the technical side of this is very, very lightweight and seamless. Getting the application to Teams is a very simple exercise as well. So yeah, as I mentioned in the demo, the whole focus here is too much time is spent trying to get these types of platforms actually working within your infrastructure and your environment. Whereas we believe that the time should be spent on strategizing around how you better communicate and better engage.
Great. And how secure is it?
Yeah, very, very secure. We're in the Australian Azure data center, so it's a Azure backend, and it supports single sign-on with your Active Directory authentication as well. So we can support non-Active Directory, but it's all based on Microsoft Azure authentication principles, and it is localized as well. We also have this deployed into Europe and also the US if you're a multinational.
Okay, so now we have a question from Caroline asking, it looks quite intuitive. Is there much, let me just try and read this here, is there much training required for users?
No, I'd say the only training for your users is for them to understand, for example, with the Teams app, I would be pinning it to the bar on the left-hand side, which is done centrally, and then just explaining to them that if they see an activity prompt, they can click it and it will take them into the app. We haven't trained anybody in our company, for example, and they just organically picked it up. And the mobile, and what's nice about it is the mobile experience is the same as the Teams experience, which is the same as the web experience. And the other thing I failed to mention too, we're also working on how do we get it to other places. So one of the things you'll see us talking about very, very soon is there's a browser extension for Chrome in the latest version of Microsoft Edge as well, which allows you particularly focus around that alerts feature. So I could be browsing Salesforce or some other web-based application, or perhaps I'm not doing my job and just on YouTube all day, a bit like Nick does. Then you can make sure you get those important corporate alerts, and it does pop up in the browser. And once again, the experience is exactly the same. So once a user's read one article, they'll be very familiar with how to consume this information.
Okay, great. Now we do have some more questions here. Could we simply deploy it via our intranet?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a number of ways to do that, which I won't go into the technical detail, but the easiest way is if you're on SharePoint, there is an Spfx Webpart capability to do this. If you're not on SharePoint, then it's easily embedded into the experience. And in fact, the application you're seeing here is actually an embedded web application, hence why it's consistent across all the experiences. And it supports, for any technical people, it supports parameterized embed URLs, so you can hide, and you'll see I don't have the full web Chrome here in terms of all the navigation, and that's just done through the way we support embedding. So you could literally have this on any intranet within a couple of minutes once you're up and running. It's very, very straightforward.
Great. No, thanks for that question too, Amanda. And I'm sorry, I didn't read the first bit of that question. Is if we don't all have access to Teams, could we simply deploy via our intranet? So I think someone you answered that.
Yeah, and there's also the full web application itself as well, Amanda, that would also give you an avenue for perhaps users who aren't licensed on your intranet platform as well.
Fantastic. And we got a question from Amanda. Love that it pushes company news, but can it be leveraged to publish other SharePoint content that people don't like going to the internet for?
It can, and in fact, we are working on that right now. So yes, there's a number of ways you could do that. For example, you could, of course, link to documents, etc. And I assume we're talking things like policies, procedure type information. You noticed before I had that when I clicked the little plus icon, one of the options is to inject HTML and JavaScript. So in theory, you could have your own sort of widgets that pull certain things in. You can embed, for example, a policy document through Office web applications, could be easily incorporated into your content. But what we're working on is actually an integration layer for our own intranet, because we also do products that do enterprise intranets and the like. So for our own SharePoint-based intranet content, as well as generic SharePoint content, where you'll be able to do it two ways: push Reach into it, but also get it into Reach as well. So that is currently in the works, so keep an eye out. But if that was a need right now, we can absolutely find various ways to do that, depending on your exact needs.
Great. Now it looks like all the questions have been answered. So just quickly, while I still have some people on the call, if you'd like to take this for a spin, we'd be more than happy to set this up as an instance for you, fully branded. It'd be our pleasure to give you access to it and get you a feel for it. So the way we'll do that is in the follow-up email that I'll send to you guys is we'll send you a very short survey. I promise you it won't be more than 3 or 4 questions where you can click down on that offer. We'll set it up for you in no time. Take it for a spin, see what you think. And just in terms of pricing, for full transparency, typical mid-sized business tier, it'd come in at just over maybe $2 per user. As you scale up in user tiers, you get those economies of scale, of course, into the enterprise level. You could be paying as little as 93 cents per user. So just to give you a little bit of the background there. But anyway, I think that's it. Thank you so much for everyone for joining. And please don't hesitate to reach out. As I said, do take advantage of that offer. Absolutely no obligation. We just want to get you an experience ASAP and get your thoughts on it as well. So thank you again.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time.